Hey, it's Marcy. We're back at Ashley Moore. We're going to meet with the architect today. Her name's Susan Elfman, born and raised in Dunedin. She's a historical architect, and she's done some more strategic demo, and she's going to let us know what she thinks about the condition of the house. We're hoping for the best, but planning for the worst. Some things have been discovered since it's been lifted that were very visible to me. The foundation of the house is in very, very bad shape, and the corners coming out, very concerning. I'm not an architect. I'm not in construction, but from what I've seen, it looks pretty bad. And like I said, we're hoping for the best, but plan for the worst. Wow. What does this mean?
Center line of the beam, which there is no beam there, so either they didn't follow, which doesn't surprise me because I told you the drawings don't match the... Well, there's three things going on. So the foundation is laid out. We took the drawings that the draftsman had done, put them on the foundation. They don't align. And what's physically built doesn't match either of those.
Okay, so we have three iterations.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
We have what's here, we have what was planned, or what was the foundation that was put in, and then we have what we thought we had?
Correct.
Okay.
So once we got the structure into the drawings, we aligned them. And then I started looking at the photos, and when we were on site, and I realized that what was actually built doesn't match what was drawn. So we need to confirm, the foundation obviously is the most important part. So I would recommend we do a digital as-built scan of the foundation itself to make sure it was built matching the drawings, because that's our most critical item.
Okay.
And then we can start talking about the house itself and the walls and all the things we know with the beams that are going on structurally.
Okay. So tell me what your main concerns are right now.
The main concerns right now are that the drawings that we received don't match what's actually physically built out here. I'm not sure which one's in error. So we need to confirm, particularly the new foundation, we want to confirm that it was built as it was drawn or correct it. Then we need to look at the house itself. As we've previously discussed, some of the major concerns are that the bottom beams all the way around the perimeter of the house are either in complete failure, failing, or in some cases, as you've seen, don't even exist, and they've just sort of been temporarily shimmed, which means the entire house is supported on an inadequate structure that is resting on this foundation. So that's concern number one. Concern number two, as we got into the house and looked at the walls and the floor framing, we realized that the walls is not a continuous load path for the 3 stories, which is structurally inadequate. We also saw that the floor framing is not deep enough for the spans that it's making and wouldn't meet today's building code. And we know that the original intention was to remove a lot of the interior walls that floor framing is resting on. So the interior walls are structural, floor is not adequate, and we know the exterior walls are also not adequate. So this is the outside beam of the house that's carrying the wall for this portion of it. This portion happens to only be 1 story, so it's less critical than other areas, but it's completely failing. It's just powder. It's not doing anything structural. And then it's been just temporarily shimmed in place. While this may be carrying the heavy dead load of the house, if we got a significant wind and a storm, for example, there's nothing that's laterally supporting it, which is why they're trying to strap it down. But you can't strap to paper, essentially. On any storm, 100 miles an hour or thereabouts, even the gusts, this would be dangerous. Even if it was strapped down now, the structure itself can't handle that. And so that happens. This condition is in several places around the house. Here again, where we've just got pieces wedged in there. Over here, we have really significant damage. And the prior contractor was starting to strap this down, but you can see how heavily termite damaged this is. The bottom part of a beam is the part that takes the most load. It's in compression, and if it's powdery failing, then it's not able to take that load.
Right.
So at minimum, the house would start to settle and lean and possibly heave, and then it gets worse.
Ooh, what's this? Looks like burn.
That's fire damage. Yep, there was a fire here at some point, and it charred the wood.
Okay.
But you can see what's happening there.
Oh my gosh.
I don't want to do too much there. You can see just this little slivers resting on this. That's not even bearing on this. So this is not adequately supported at all. Now this wall we know we were intending to remove because we're putting an addition on for the larger kitchen. So at a minimum, this would have to be significantly reframed.
Everybody is in my kitchen all the time. No matter how much food I put in the front porch and way more pretty areas of the house, they all want to be in the kitchen. So that was expansion was something that we wanted to do. And then obviously wanting the house to last another 125 years. This does not tell me we could last another 125 years.
No, the corner of a house is the most structurally important. It's a significant point load. This one happens to go up 2 full stories now, and you can see this is completely deteriorated.
Why would there be fire just on the bottom? Like, that's so weird.
Well, we don't know that it isn't in the walls. When we pull the
Okay.
siding off, we'll find out what's in the walls, and I expect you'll see.
More?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But that combined with water damage and the deterioration, this corner is doing absolutely nothing structurally, and it's been temporarily shimmed, which is okay, but it certainly can't be, you know, permanently strapped down as it is right now.
Okay.
This beam's in complete failure. Like many of them around, you can just flake it away.
Wow.
This is your floor right here, and you can see it has had damage from termites and or water, both kind of combined. Here's your floor framing, your members that are carrying either stairs or other floor, or these could be wall studs as well. But even those, so the bottom of your wall stud is taking the most weight. You know, it's just like your feet. Your feet are your foundation. They take the most weight. And these are all deteriorating, nails are pulling out. So the wall itself is in failure.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can wiggle that nail with my finger.
Yeah. The new structure is great. The house itself isn't adequate structurally for anybody to be inside. I'd be worried about someone living there. There was, I think there were 2 air conditioning units sitting close to the house here. And so that's probably caused the water intrusion and deterioration. That's an easy fix with the siding. But in general, I think you're going to find, well, we've seen on the interior that there's been water intrusion through the siding into the main structure, the wall studs.
Okay.
Too. And it's pretty significant. So 2 of the other things that we found when we came out and started our initial investigation is obviously the structural corners are the most important parts of a building, and you want a continuous load path. And you can see you've got a piece of wood that stops here and it doesn't even rest on this one. And then another chunk back here, another piece here, another small piece that's not even, it's not even a full 2x4, it's a
2x1
piece. Yeah.
It's a 2x1. Yeah.
There is probably a 4x4 column behind all of this. 4x4 at a 3-story house is not an adequate structure in the corner. The other thing going on here is you can see the floor framing. So those are 2x8s and they are roughly 16 inches on center. That's not adequate spacing or depth. When you're looking at floor framing, the depth of the member is what's important structurally. That's not adequate for the span that it's making all the way across this room. At a minimum, it would have to be basically supplemented with new framing that is deeper and can span the room.
Now, is that why maybe you see this kind of old crack up here to begin with? Like, I mean, because that what didn't happen when we lifted the house, that's been there.
Right. Plaster cracks are hard to say. When you open them, you see what's happening in the framing. Sometimes they're just from wind and storms over the years that cause the plaster to crack. That one's fairly small and hairline looking, but the peeling paint tells me there may be some water intrusion going on in there.
Well, which would make sense because there's no barrier here on the outside. I mean, this is siding.
That is the side.
The other side of this is painted pink.
And it's beautiful old heart pine. It's dense, it's hard, but it's not waterproof. So it's not watertight. It's not insulated properly. It's not structurally proper in the walls or the floor. So basically all of that's going on. And in the renovations, we're talking about removing a good bit of the interior walls and relocating them. And they are load bearing. They are carrying the floor framing. So essentially we're breaking all the bones inside the body of the house and keeping the skin in order to do the renovation and keep the house. That's the scope of what would be involved to renovate the house. And even given that, we'll end up rebuilding the outside walls structurally adequately, waterproofed, insulated, for today's building codes and to withstand storms.
You're talking about scaffolding the outside of the house to support it while you deconstruct it. You basically have to build a new house.
Yes, yeah, that's what will have to happen. It's a hard conversation to have because these old houses have been here so long. But several things are different about this house now. Lifting it changes all the load conditions on it. So now it's higher up, so it's subject to more force of wind, and it's subject to wind coming up under the house.
Are you serious?
Strapping it and tying it is going to be really critical as well.
So we thought lifting it would save it from flood.
Saves it from flooding.
But it
changes,
increases the wind.
Well, it changes the way the wind behaves on it, yes. You've changed the entire behavior of the house structurally.
That was a really expensive change.
Yeah, I understand.
Wow.
I mean, it was good that you lifted it, obviously, for future events which might happen. That's a good thing. Now we just need to make it sure that it's structurally strong enough for any future.
If part of the challenge of saving it is moving interior walls, like what if we left that wall? Would that make a difference?
No, because we already know that the floor is not deep enough to span this distance. Now, if we take the ceiling out and we find a midpoint beam here that the floor is coming into, it's not spanning as far, then we might say, oh, maybe that's possibly okay. We'll have to have a structural engineer tell us.
So you're saying there's a chance?
There's a chance. There's always a chance. But that would be unusual for an old house like this.
Like what if there was like a pillar or something, or some kind of a pillar that you put here? Would that matter?
Well, the wall itself is carrying all the floor joists.
Okay.
So the pillar could be there, but we'd have to put in new beams. So there'd be a new beam there and the floor joists would tie into that, bearing on the pillar, which has to have a foundation under it going all the way down to the ground or subsurface.
Okay.
So unless there's a column and a helical pile at the location of that pillar, we'd be looking at adding one. So for all of those sorts of things, we probably are going to have to pull up the flooring and preserve it because it's really great old floor, I think. So we pull it up and preserve it to expose the floor framing. We know a lot of the ground level floor is rotting and has problems, as we saw around the outside of the house. So we'd be replacing and or repairing that. So basically you would just have open framing here, and we'd probably need to do the same thing on the ceiling. The bigger problem with the ceiling though is it's still, even if you put a column and beams across here, this is too far to span for 2x8s for floor framing.
So it's just built in 1900 or 1905 to now, 2x8s. Somebody has figured out you can't span this far with 2x8s.
Well, several things have happened since then. First of all, the house is built, all the framing is old wood, old growth wood. So it's very dense. It's much more dense than our new green wood that we build with today. And a 2x8 in 1905 was actually a 2x8. It was actually 2 inches by 8 inches. That isn't true anymore. A 2x8, if you buy one today, is 1.5 by 7.5. So in that time, the size of the member and the density of the wood and things like that would have been probably okay, but they don't meet today's building code. And when we start doing renovations to the house, we have to meet today's building codes.
Damn. Can't somebody from like some history place come and say, this wood is like the old good wood and it counts?
Well, here's the hard thing too. You can't engineer 100-year-old wood. There's no way for somebody to test it and say, right? Because it's here, it's been here all that time. And that makes it also difficult. The other thing that's not adequate here is everything is just toe-nailed in and it's not properly strapped and held down. And again, that's a wind issue.
And it would have been a wind issue regardless of if we had lifted it, or are you telling me that because I lifted it, I made it a wind issue?
It would have been a wind issue anyway.
But I made it worse.
But it's, yes, the amount of space under the house, which causes a potential for uplift now, which is why they're strapping down the house, is exacerbating that for sure.
Okay. This was not the news that we wanted to hear. Lifting the house was saving the house, and finding out that probably wasn't the case. I don't know that lifting it was bad, because we've got to take water into consideration because we are right on the sound. We do have Caldesi that gives us a little bit of a break, but it's hide from the wind, run from the water, I think is the scenario. Okay.
In any scenario, we will selectively take things out of the house to preserve, even if the house stays and we're renovating and rebuilding the exterior walls, we will take out ceiling moldings and crown moldings and trim and flooring and any finishes that we can preserve, or any parts of the house. The stair, I definitely want to preserve any way we can. So as much of the house as can be preserved, we definitely will, whether it's a substantial renovation or essentially almost a new build.
I don't really know how to process this.
It's a lot to take in.
It is a lot to take in.
I hate giving news like this to people, but licensed professionals, we have an ethical obligation to make sure that the buildings that we are designing and signing are safe for human habitation. And this house right now, as it is definitely not.
I'm gonna need to process that. It's not what we wanted to hear. It's definitely not what we've been thinking. We closed on this house in April, early May, I think, of 2024. So I moved in immediately after and started making our plans, and it's been over a year in the making and the planning. Now it's just kind of feels like, not just like back to the drawing board, it feels like worse than that. Like I can handle back to the drawing board. I think I've probably watched thousands of hours of home restorations and renovations, and it looks on TV like you can save any house. That's what it looks like. That's how they shoot it. But that is turning out not to be the case. And it's really disappointing, but we'll do our best. I know we have a great team. Susan is a historical architect, born and raised in Dunedin. She sits on the Historical Society. I mean, there's nobody that will work harder to preserve the history of Dunedin than her. So I guess we're just gonna have to put our heads together and figure something out.
Yeah. Next steps.
Yep.
I mean, this has been a discovery phase.
Yeah.
It's something that goes on with every project to some degree. When you have a house that's been here for as long as it's been, there's more involved, but now we know what we're dealing with, and then we'll figure out next steps from here.
Okay. Womp womp. This was supposed to be primary closet and keeping the plumbing there. That was supposed to be primary bath. And then we thought we were going to reclaim this space where this old furnace is. And there's the stairs going up to the back part of the house that at one point was a multifamily home. I think at one point there may have been servants' quarters, and then during the Depression and stuff, it became like second family home, and we were hoping to bring it all back and it'd be a one family home. This was supposed to be the primary bedroom. The bed was gonna go here. And even these cracks, these cracks in the plaster, we knew that was a possibility of happening with lifting it, but that didn't bother us. I think cracks in plaster are kind of cool. I think they tell the story of the lifting. Things like this in the floor don't bother me, like being patched and feathered in. I love that. I think it tells where walls were and where things had to be changed. None of that stuff bothered me. I don't really know how to take this, finding out that I'm just processing what I heard, which sounds like it doesn't matter that the wood is stronger because it's older. It doesn't matter that they don't build them like they used to. It matters that the building codes today are different from what they were when it was built. And part of me kind of regrets bringing in people with licenses and things that have government agencies they have to report to. Part of me feels like I wish I would have called this team that helped my parents build their house back in the 80s on Black Creek in Middleburg, Florida. Literally this family that won the lottery in New York moved down and helped us turn a single wide trailer into a 2,500 square foot house. And we literally did it ourselves with books of those Time Life, how to be an electrician, how to be a plumber books. Part of me wishes I'd just done that because, I guess I'd still have to get a certificate of occupancy or something. I don't know, but this is upsetting.